All right, all right, all right. Happy Sunday. Look at us, the Real Precious Network, joining on a Sunday. Welcome, 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 guys. Welcome back to the Real Precious Network. Tonight is going to be a special show. Tonight is going to be one special show. I was supposed to introduce Harmony, but she up here already with us. So we're going to keep it moving. I was like, oh, this is how we're going to do it. And I totally didn't do it that way, but that's okay because it's a Sunday. It's the Sunday Kinks, right? Welcome, guys. Tonight's going to be a great show. Definitely hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this video. Definitely share it. Let the algorithm know. Let YouTube land know. Facebook, if you're watching for Facebook, hello, how y'all doing over there? Thank you for watching. Definitely share. It's going to be a good show this evening. We have Miss Harmony here with us, and it looks like we're having some sound issues. Harmony, can you hear us? No? You might have to go out and come back in. All right. So Harmony's going to go out and come back in, but we are going to have an evening with Harmony. Harmony is a biracial, transracial, international kinship adoptee. I know that's a mouthful. That's a lot. It's a lot. However, I saw her content on Instagram and I was like, oh my God, I wonder if she would come on the show because everyone knows we advocate for adoptees over here. We say the uncomfortable things out loud. And Leon is a biracial adoptee. And I believe I think you may have been the only biracial adoptee. But now we have Harmony, who is a biracial, transracial adoptee. And I'll let Harmony get into what that is. But I thought it would be great to have her on the show to represent those who are biracial in a transracial, international kinship adoption. I thought it would be so cool to have her here. And, I'm definitely can't wait to hear your story. That's one thing that surprises us, takes us, by shock, because while all of our stories may be similar in some type of way, all of our stories are never the same. And so I'm so happy to have you here, Harmony. Thank you so much
Thank
for joining
you.
us. Thank you, thank you, thank
Thank you
you.
for having me. Whoop, whoop.
So, Harmony, I ask everyone the same question. How did you
Mhm.
become an adoptee? What is
Wow.
your journey?
Yeah. Loaded question. Thank you. um, I'm always interested to hear how adoptees answer this question because I feel like there's almost two ways we could go about this. There's like the narrative, or there's what I've come to understand has
Mhm.
happened, or my perspective of what has happened, right? So let's start with the narrative because it's nice.
Let's go. Let's
So
go.
the story is that, so like you said, I'm a biracial, transracial, international kinship adoptee. My dad's black, my mom's white. I was adopted by white people, which are my relatives. So I was adopted by my great aunt and uncle on my white side. I say international because all my family's from North Carolina, and my mom flew up to Canada to have me and then flew back.
Wow.
Um, yeah. So the story is that I'll call my great aunts and uncle my adopter. Um, they wanted a baby so bad. They prayed for a baby for 6.5 years, and I was their answer to prayer. And the story is that my mom wanted me so bad. She planned on keeping me, and then she decided that I would be better in Canada with her, I guess, her aunt, so my great aunt. So that's the story. This was God's plan. It was all happy, happy, positive, positive, right? Um, and I've always thought that until I came out of the fog a couple of years ago and I started questioning, like, wait, why did my mom give me up for adoption? And all the answers were so positive. This is what God wanted. I wanted a baby so bad. Your mom loved you so much. She gave you up for adoption, the typical answers, but those answers just weren't matching the rage and the anger and the hurt and like the abandonment and rejection that I was feeling. So I was just like, this isn't, well, it could be it, it's not lining up for what I think it is. So I've come to understand the story as Um, my whole black side, so my whole dad's side, wanted to raise me,
Mm.
and they weren't told about me being adopted in another country until the whole adoption was finalized. So
Oh no, this
Oh
can't be
no.
happening. The devil is busy.
I wonder, did she get a call?
Maybe.
sorry, I got a call. Yeah.
Yeah, you might have to put your phone on D&D.
One
Yeah.
second.
It was getting juicy.
Getting
You guys
right.
can hear me?
Like,
All right, I'm back.
yes,
Yes.
you are.
You guys can hear me?
Hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Plot twist. Yeah. So when I heard that, like when I talked to my black side, they say, we didn't have any clue. We thought we were gonna raise you. We thought we were gonna have to share a room with you. You would have got the same beatings we got. If we knew where you were, we would have came and drove and pick you up. Like just that is what they tell me all the time. And it's like, so when I hear these things of this was God's plan, this is what we wanted or whatever, it's just like there's a whole other side of my story of me that is completely left out. So how I became to be an adoptee, I mean, I guess my mom thought it was best. She says that she heard God tell her to give me away. And then my great aunt and uncle who adopted me, they say no, she must have heard the devil's voice. But then they
No.
say they prayed for me and that I was God's answer to prayer. So it's just like I don't know. I don't think my adoption was all legal, and then I think part of it is maybe she really didn't feel like she could raise me. I guess people wanted a baby. So I don't really know what the story is. I just know it's been less than ideal. So,
Okay. So let's
mhm.
scale it back and unpack a little bit because
Yeah.
that's a lot.
Mhm.
So your mom was in North Carolina
Mhm.
and was pregnant with you.
Yeah.
Was your mom and your dad together?
They were. Yeah.
Okay, so they were together. And then your mom decides to drive to Canada to actually
Mhm.
have you in a hospital in Canada.
Mhm. Yeah, I think she flew up. I think they visited while she was pregnant. And my great aunt asked her, "What are you doing with that baby in your stomach?" And asked to adopt me.
Uh,
Yeah.
Was your dad?
So no, no.
So do you think it was? I mean, was your mom and dad together when the decision was made for when your mom made a decision to then just go to Canada to have you? Like, do you
I
know that part of the story?
I don't think so. Like I'm still getting parts of the story, but I think she was living like with my grandpa on my black side and my dad. And
Mhm.
then at one point, my mom's dad came and picked her up, and that was pretty much it. Like, my black side never heard anything until I was adopted in Canada, until everything was over. So, yeah,
So,
from what I understand, it's just a very sneaky adoption. So,
so it never was something that went through the courts, is what you're saying.
it went through the courts in Canada.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so he wouldn't have had any
Right.
chance to fight it unless he was literally told, which you should tell the father of the child. But
Yeah.
yeah. Hmm.
Leon, do you have anything before I?
Boom.
Um, it's, I mean, that's a lot, but like
Hmm.
when we talk about, um, you know, so Canada, so maybe her mindset was thinking like maybe you'll have like a better upbringing like in Canada.
Hmm. Hmm.
That's what I'm thinking
Yeah.
because I don't know anything about North Carolina. I can't speak on that, but
Hmm.
um it is definitely like you're she's like me in a way. Like I'm still unraveling
Yeah.
like my story,
Mhm.
and so, whatever questions that you might have, um, you go for it. I'm just here to
Hmm.
listen.
Okay, so my next question would be
Hmm.
how did the reunification process work with you? Like, how did you get in contact with your dad's side of the family?
Um, the reunification is always interesting because it's kinship. So it's like I never left
Oh
the
well,
family, right? And in saying that, I was displaced in my family. So my mom became my cousin, my grandma became my aunt, my doctor became my mom, those kind of things. Like my cousins became my brother. So I wasn't, I didn't leave the family, but I wasn't who I was in the family. Does that make sense? Um,
and that's crazy as hell. If I
crazy,
must say so, I'm sorry,
crazy.
no offense,
Yeah,
it's hard,
I'm
but
No, it
thinking.
is.
when you
It's
become
crazy.
your great aunt's daughter,
Daughter.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Any branch from that, you
Mm-hmm.
like you say, you're misplaced. So you're no
Mm-hmm.
longer the daughter of your mom. You're the
Mm-hmm.
daughter of your great aunt, and now you're somebody else's sister, but you're really their cousin.
Their second cousin. Yeah, it's crazy.
Second, yeah.
Yeah.
So
That's wild.
that
Yeah.
that alone would have you in a room screaming like
Yeah.
like,
Hmm.
Yeah,
like the Twilight Zone that Leon
for
always
sure.
says that we're in the Twilight.
Oh,
Like,
true.
how do you make sense of that?
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
growing up too, So
Mm-hmm.
let's talk a little bit about the biracial side. Let's start with
Mm-hmm.
that, right? Because you're growing up. Did you feel like you didn't look like your because my great aunt it's a little similar to my story.
Mm-hmm.
My great aunt actually took me and my brother in when my mom when they took us away from our mom.
Right.
She died. So if she didn't
Okay.
die, maybe our story would be different, but she did, and
Right.
then we were placed in foster care homes. So your great
Mm-hmm.
aunt and your great uncle,
Mm-hmm.
great aunt and uncle, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You took adopted you. So at
Mm-hmm.
growing up, did you feel like you didn't look like them? You weren't like them because it's still your family, just not
Yeah.
your immediate family. So what were those feelings like growing up with them?
Yeah, very weird. I grew up in like Whiteville, so I was the blackest people, or I was the blackest person a lot of people had seen. So in my home there was a lot of we don't see color. I was adopted by pastors too, so that kind of
Oh,
like puts in a whole
that's
different
you just
perspective.
told us that
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
hours. Okay.
Say less, right? So yeah, I mean in the home they didn't see it, but I mean as soon as we walk out the door, I'm not white with blonde hair and blue eyes, so I don't look like them at all. And then to make it like worse is they adopted another kid who is blonde hair and blue eyes. So it's like I really stuck out. So with all four of us, so I've always known I was adopted. I've
Okay.
always known these people weren't my parents. There was no space for me to ever say that because, it would hurt feelings, it would crush dreams, whatever. Um, and so like going out of the house was crazy all the time because like people are just like, and it happens to this day. Like if I go out with them to this day, people are shocked when I come out of the vehicle. Like, whoa, that's your sister, that's your daughter, like, you know, um, and that's just been my life. So I've felt even before leaving the house, I felt like I didn't belong there. I was very verbal about it. And then leaving, it was almost like it was confirmed, and then you go through the whole thing of like being picked up from school and they're like, where's your mom? And you're like over there and they're like, where's the black woman? And I'm just like, no, it's not my real mom, and you have to go into the whole confusing story. So I've never felt in place. I still don't feel in place. It's definitely been very hard for sure. And I
Yeah,
think it's
it's
compounded with them forcing me to call them mom and dad, so yeah, it's been very confusing.
So you
yeah,
had
it's
you
funny
were
she
forced.
say that because I felt the same way when I was growing up. Because obviously, um, I don't know if I showed you that picture when I was a kid. So when I was growing up, I had light blonde hair,
Oh
curly
wow.
hair,
Yeah.
and I have green eyes. So
Mm-hmm.
um, they were like, well, you would hear kids say like, "Oh, you don't look nothing like your parents."
Yeah.
Then you was like, when you're a kid, you don't really realize it then until you find out you're
Mm-hmm.
adopted, and then you start to wonder, like, yeah, and like she says, always getting those stares and those
Yeah.
looks, like, you know, Like, did you steal this baby? Or,
Right, right.
like,
Well, that's what I would feel like. I would always be scared that people would assume that one of my parents had an affair and I was the product of that affair. So I'm walking
hmm
around with the shame that like I didn't even need to, but I was trying to like, how do I rationalize this in my head of really what's going on,
hmm
you know? So
yeah.
yeah, it was super confusing.
Okay. And then your parents adopted someone who does look like them. So
Hmm.
what was that dynamic like growing up? Because how old were you when they then adopted your brother?
I was two.
Okay, so you were two. So you weren't that much older than him
Right.
that that there was a difference in understanding per se.
Hmm.
hmm
However, growing up, how was that dynamic? Because you're clearly biracial and he's
Hmm.
not, and you're
Hmm.
living in the same home, raised
Hmm.
under one roof as siblings.
Yeah.
So how was that dynamic growing up?
We laugh about it now because it's like they literally just put two strangers together and we're like, here, your brother and sister, go play, be, get along.
Right.
And I don't think we really got along. I don't even know if we knew each other existed. I think we were both just in like traumatized, almost like stunned states,
Yeah.
like we were just there. And um there, like, I don't even know how you integrate those kind of things, right? Putting two adopted kids together and just expecting it to work. Like, I don't know what the right way to do it is, but I don't know. I wouldn't say we were close. I've always felt this protection over him, because I knew pretty much he was in the same situation I was.
Mhm.
Um, I mean, we're closer now, but I don't really remember it ever being a relationship. I It's yeah, it's really weird and definitely still something I'm unpacking.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So growing up, you know that you're different. You're forced to call your great aunt and uncle mom and dad.
Mhm.
When you had feelings about this or when you wanted to talk about it, what did that look like? Was there a safe space for you to get your feelings out and have these open conversations? Or did you feel like you kind of said earlier, that you had to protect feelings um,
Mhm.
based on the dynamic?
Yeah, I mean, as long as it was within the narrative, God wanted it. You were an answer to prayer. Your mom loved you so much, it was okay to talk about. As long as it was positive and it was all happy. But um, like I said, I was very verbal about you're not my mom and dad. I don't want to live here. This isn't my home. This isn't my name. Like all these things. I was very verbal about it, and it was almost like I would get in trouble for speaking the truth. Anytime I would show any like sadness or aggression about being adopted, they would make me write lines like, remember writing? Do you remember writing lines, guys? I don't know
Oh,
if you guys had to do
sure.
that. Like,
That was one of my punishments. I would have to
yeah,
write things 100 times. I'd be like,
exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So I would have to write, I forgive my birth mom for giving me up for adoption, which implies that something is wrong, but nothing's wrong because what am I forgiving her for? So that added a whole nother level of confusion. Like, if I'm forgiving her for doing something so good, then I must also need to
I'm
forgive
so
you because you're
confused.
also involved. It was
I
maddening.
think so, because they wanted
Yeah.
you to believe the narrative
Yeah.
that the Lord did it. So
Yeah.
what did your biological mom like? Did they did they look down on
Girl,
her for doing it? I thought they asked her.
I don't know.
Yeah, that would that because I always say, before I leave this earth, I really
Hmm.
want to know the why behind my parents.
Right. Hmm.
Not
Hmm.
the she couldn't have kids story, because
Right. Right.
we know that.
Hmm.
However, just because you can't have children doesn't define your why. It's just another
Right.
detail about the why.
Hmm.
And so, your parents, your great aunt and your great uncle, other than wanting a child, what would be the why? Because now you're stuck with a lot of questions of,
Hmm.
well, how did, why would my mom just do this? It's like, oh,
Yeah.
well, to give you a better life and to, have you be in an environment where you can flourish, but at the same
Mhm.
time, the thoughts of, well, what was my mom's circumstances at the time?
Right.
Not to
Mhm.
say that you can change the past, because none of us
Mhm.
can change the past, but
Mhm.
get the truth and understanding of why your life is the way it is today. Not saying that it's good
Mhm.
or bad, but just even to calm those thoughts
Yeah.
of being someone who is biracial, transracial,
Mhm.
international, and then it's like y'all kept it in a family.
Yeah.
So it's different when, like, we weren't kept in a family, so we could
Right.
possibly find out facts that our family, our adopted family doesn't know.
Right.
We could
Right.
possibly find those facts out, by
Mhm.
sources or paying money to do X, Y, and Z. But with
Mhm.
you, it's like it's in the family, and so anyone who's keeping the secret is going to hold the secret. And
Yeah. Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So you
Yeah.
say you're still unfolding your story. Where
Mhm.
exactly are you at in your journey?
Like you said, I have a lot of questions, right? The questions and the stories and narratives, they're not adding up for me.
Hmm.
Um, and I've come to the understanding, I don't think people were maliciously doing all this stuff, right? I don't think they're like, let's hurt Harmony, let's mess up her life, right? I do think, like you said, maybe she wanted a better life for me, which,
Hmm.
okay, I guess I can understand that. But I do think it was just gone about wrong. So I just wish, and again, because it is in family and you guys collectively all came to this decision, because my mom was, I think she was 17 when she had me, so she was a teenager, right? There's all these adults who, when I talk to them, they say, oh no, we all plan to keep you in the States. Like, everybody was like getting, they literally say, we were all getting ready to take care of you, to have a new baby in the family. And then boom, all of a sudden, I'm adopted in Canada, you know? So it's like something had to happen. And so I just wish we could just talk, you know, nothing can change. Like, I don't feel like I'm angry, but I'm super curious and I just want to know, you know, because what you guys are telling me, it's just something is missing, you know? Um, and I think that's the positive of kinship, is you should have those answers. And potentially I do have them all, but I don't think I do. And then the added problem of everybody just puts everything on God. Like, God wanted this. Oh, adoption's not traumatic. Give it to God. Like, they literally say things to me like, why is this still coming up? You know, why are you still angry? Why, you know, and it's just like, I just want to talk. You know what I mean? Because to this day, I'm still displaced. My great aunts and uncle cannot fathom me not being their daughter. And I have kids, and it's like, I'm watching my kids come out of the fog, being like, whoa, wait, so those actually aren't my grandma and grandpa. And it's like, if I, as a biracial person in a family of all mostly white people, if I don't get my story and if I don't say the truth, my black part of my family will be completely erased, right? Like, that's because he's not on the birth certificate. Like, if you don't look and listen to what I'm saying, he doesn't exist.
Right.
So in generations to come, they're just going to look and see this random like biracial person and be like, how did she get here? You know,
Right.
and I don't think to anybody that's important. And they say things like, oh, you know, it didn't change who you are if we call you our daughter or cousin or whatever, but it changes everything. My grandpa on my white side would be my doctor's brother. So when he died as my uncle, but he's actually my grandpa. And so I was having a conversation with my son one day and I was like, I never got like the grandpa experience. And I really had to think, like, where was my grandpa? You know, everybody has a grandpa. Where was mine? Ugh, and it hit me like, my grandpa died. And I remember being told he died, but I was told my uncle died. And I was like, oh my gosh. And this was still when I was kind of coming out of the fog, like, whoa, my grandpa died. He was right there. And I never knew him as that because my great aunt was so insistent on calling him my uncle.
Cool.
Right. So it's like, I feel like people like to, if they acknowledge adoption is loss at all, they just acknowledge it when you're adopted. But it's like, I'm an adult. I'm still losing. Like, my grandma on my white side just died. Nobody told me.
I'm
Right.
sorry.
Like, she just died a month ago. And it's like, I'm adopted in family. You know what I mean? So it's like, what what is this family or is it not? You know what I mean? So um it still hurts. I'm still losing like all these relationships with my nieces and nephews, my cousins, whoever. Like they're all in the States, you know. I'm not getting those. Who's paying for me to fly down there? Who's paying for my hotel? Like these are things I don't think, I know they didn't think about them when they gave me up for adoption, you know? And I guess how could they? Which is why I think these kind of conversations are important. Like it's a perpetual loss. And what am I going to tell my grandkids? Do you think I'm going to tell them my great aunts and uncle and my parents? They're not. They did parental things.
Hmm.
But if we break it down, that's my great aunt and uncle, you know? There is a whole black family that I really feel like I have to fight for almost.
Yeah.
So it's a lot.
So you
Whew.
never you never spent time like with your black family, the black side of your family, or they didn't they didn't want to be apart, or they just didn't know.
Well, they didn't know at first, which obviously causes a whole lot of tension and problems
Mm,
and a lot of lack of trust. So I had like a picture of my birth dad, you know, in my room. He would send me cards, but they would really just say his name. He would say like when we would get a phone call, he knew that my great aunt was listening, you know. So it wasn't I think it was hard for him to even know what to say, right? Like I don't think they process like they pretty much stole his child. And whether that sounds harsh or not, I would love people to sit with like, if that happened to you, would you consider it? Would you be cool? You know, would you consider your child got stolen if your child was adopted in another country? So I don't think these things again are talked about or processed. So it made it very awkward. I have gone down there. I could probably count on one hand how many times I've gone down there. And again, this is why I think these conversations are important. When I went down there as a child, um, I'm fully traumatized. I'm confused. I'm angry, right? So, any type of, I don't know if you guys can relate to this. I'm super sensitive to rejection or abandonment or even the smell of it, right? So I'm already on alert. Like I have to be
yeah.
perfect because I don't want you to abandon me again. So it's like I'm not even in the right headspace, first of all, going down there. Um, Adoption made me crazy, like literally crazy. So I don't think I was in the right space. Now I'm talking to them mostly over text messaging and stuff, but I mean, we
Oh,
lost so much time, you know?
yeah, that's hard. So
Hmm.
you say that well, it's a kinship adoption. I have to keep. You're also the first kinship adoptee that I've ever met,
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
my knowledge. So the perspective is different, and the reality of it is different because in my head,
Hmm.
I'm like, well, how did you get there as a child? How
Right.
did you get to go to North Carolina as a child? But this is still your family, so it wasn't like
Hmm.
you were in a closed adoption, you
Right.
were in an open adoption, you were in a
Hmm.
kinship adoption where the family around you is your biological family.
Hmm.
Going when you were a child, your emotions were all over the place, but
Hmm.
what was it like when you were either getting dropped off or you guys were traveling there? What would your great aunt and uncle tell you about your father? Because, you know, it has to, I, I don't know the truth, right?
Hmm. Hmm.
Like Leon, your situation, and I always tell you, like, your niche is your biracial part of your adoption because your mom is white, your dad is black, and
Hmm.
back in those days, that type of relationship was frowned upon, right?
Yep.
That
Hmm.
that type of relationship, white woman, black man. Oh, we got to get her away from him
Yeah.
because we don't see this as a acceptable type of relationship. And so, what was it like when your white parents were dropping you off to your black father? Like you said, you can only count on one hand. So, why did that stop? You know,
Hmm.
what was that experience like going there?
Well, they never dropped me off with my black dad. That's the first thing.
Oh,
They were like, no. Yeah, they would only drop me off with obviously my white side. So they took me down there. I guess I first met him when I was maybe under 2. And
Okay.
the story is that he came in the room. I guess like both sides were there. I have pictures of some people of my black side and some people from my white side were there. So he came in last, I guess, and he
Mhm,
got down on his knee and said, "Come here, baby." And I instantly ran to him.
mhm,
And everyone was like, "Oh, that's so cute." When I hear that, I'm like, "That is tragic." You know, that I instantly
mhm,
ran to the stranger. I didn't know who he was, but I knew who he was almost, you know. So I met him at that age, and then I don't think I saw him again until like 2010 when I was well old enough to go down there myself.
mhm.
Um, and then I might have only actually seen him like 3 times, you know, and they never took me there. It was just me wanting to go there.
So, do you want a relationship with your father?
I do.
Okay.
And we text, and I've recently said to him, like, you know, I do want to have more of a relationship with you. I see people are getting old and dying. Like, what's happening, you know? So, um, again, my issue is people aren't as open as I need them to be about certain things. And they just say, God took it. So I struggle with trust in that aspect with him.
Mhm,
Um, so I don't know how deep the relationship can go, but like I'm willing and I'm open and obviously I want to. I have a better relationship with his sister, so my aunt.
okay.
And then my dad had another child,
Okay.
so I talked to him. But yeah, for me, I mean, just texting isn't really that much of a relationship. So I guess like we talk, yeah, but it's not overly personal by any means. So
So do you find it hard to um I'm kind of the same way. So like my
mm-hmm.
sister was on the show a couple episodes ago.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we have been talking like on Instagram and calling each other.
Mm-hmm.
This is the first time like I could see her like not face to face but like on camera.
Oh
So
wow.
um and you know I find it difficult at times to build a connection with her because I don't
Mm-hmm.
know her.
Yeah.
You know, it's
Yeah.
like even even when I was adopted, I had an adopted brother. So
Mm-hmm.
um and so we never really were close. Like
Mm-hmm.
I had love for him, I loved him, but like when I just never felt that sibling relationship, you
Mm-hmm.
know. It was like we were just existing in a room together, but we're not like we weren't doing sibling things together or anything. Um, he had his own subset of friends and I had my own. So it wasn't
Mm-hmm.
like, you know, so I understand what you're talking about far as, you know, like you said, making you call someone mother and father or making you call
Mm-hmm.
someone your sibling. It's very hard. And especially as you get older, um, you know, both my adopted parents and my birth parents passed away.
Oh wow. I'm sorry.
Yes. So I was able to meet my birth parents once
Mm-hmm.
before they passed. This was years ago.
Wow.
But I was like trying to, I was trying to build a relationship with them. I wasn't trying to replace, what I had already had. I just
Mm-hmm.
wanted them to kind of try to open up to me a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Never got that. I had like, it's my story is still unfolding as we speak. I've met another cousin, actually, Precious. I meant to tell you this the other day. Someone
Oh,
reached out to me on Facebook, and we've been talking. So,
Nice. Congratulations.
but
hey.
it's not from my other side of my family, which is it's kind of irritating actually. Um,
Would you say wait, would you say back up a little? It's not from your other side of
my
the family.
yeah. So like my black side of my family. So um, I have an auntie. She's still living, and I met her once, and then I've been trying to call her, and she hasn't responded back. And um, then I discovered that I have two uncles, reached out to them and they haven't,
Mhm.
responded back. So yeah, it's a journey that is never ending
Mhm.
and it don't end, when you turn 18.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the aunt that you met is from your white side of the family, is what you're saying?
No, my father's side.
Oh, it's from your father's side.
Hmm.
Okay, okay. I
That's his sister.
gotcha, gotcha.
The waiting feels painful. Hey, it's like it is the longest wait for these kind of things. Even if it's a short time, I feel like my adoptee in me is like, are they gonna call back? Are they gonna answer? Like it's only been 5 hours, but okay, like do they hate me? Do they not want me? Like that's where my nervous system goes. How is the waiting for you?
So I kind of got used to it a little bit. Like
Mm,
when I first started looking for my parents years ago. Like I told a story, when I asked my adopted mom, would she be okay with me like looking for my parents?
mm,
I was afraid how this conversation was going to go. I didn't know what she was going to say, to be honest. And she was all for it. She actually helped me pay for the private investigator to
wow.
find them. So, um, it still makes you feel like you don't know what's going on that
Mhm,
those sides of both sides of the family. Like I think in my case, what Precious said is probably 100% correct. Like
mhm,
there were, they have people on the white side of the family that didn't want to integrate a relationship with a black man,
yeah.
and you know, which I don't have nothing to do with. I didn't
Mhm,
ask. I'm just trying to figure out what's going on.
right.
Um, and so, like, you should see my ancestry DNA. I've reached out to so many people, and it's all on red. They never respond. So, like,
Mm, that's
yeah.
so hard. That's so hard. I'm
The
sorry.
waiting is hard. The waiting,
Mhm,
like you said, Harmony is like, did they read it? What are they
yeah.
thinking? Do they know something?
Mhm,
Are they holding something back?
yeah.
I went through that when I was looking for my father. A lot of people matched with me on ancestry.com
Oh wow.
on my father's side, and I'm like, it's like you're telling these people your story and you don't
Yeah.
know if they're going to respond back.
Yeah.
And then eventually, someone joined Ancestry and I got a notification and I just ran the whole story down to her. And she was like, oh, yeah, he lives down the street from me.
Oh wow.
So, right.
Whoa.
So it was
You just
like,
need that one person, right? Just that
that
one
you only need
person.
one,
Yeah.
right?
That
It
one
went
auntie.
writing him a letter to waiting years to,
Wow.
calling numbers and
Mhm.
wondering if it was going to be him. I always tell people, patience, 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 because
Mhm.
we didn't have any control in the timing of our lives and
Yeah.
when we would be adopted and when people would move and go here and shuffle there, just for our environment to be safe for us or livable, whatever the case may be. We didn't have any say in that. We didn't have any conception of time during that time. We were just kids. You guys were a lot smaller. I was 9 years old when I was adopted. So
Mhm.
I went through 4 foster homes before being adopted. So I had history, and so when we're searching for our biological family, or in your case, wanting these answers, and people are just giving you that blanket answer of, well, God wanted it to be this way.
Mhm.
And, be grateful. And,
Hmm.
you have a great home and you have everything you need, when you're going through that period of your journey, it feels as though you'll never get to the light. It feels as
Mhm.
though you'll never get your answers. Um, I know what helped me was literally taking my full focus would be on it. Like it's like moths drawn to a light. Like once you
Mm-hmm.
get a little bit of information, or once you get one piece of, factual evidence, it's like you follow
Mhm.
that lead. That's how we become investigators. Like that's literally
Mm-hmm.
how adoptees become investigators, because people don't want to tell us the truth, or people don't want to divulge the truth and just
Mm-hmm.
let it be out there and let it be what it is. People don't think that we can handle our own truth. And so we then say, well, F it.
Yeah.
I don't need you for this.
Yeah.
And it's crazy how, you know, adoptions take place and they don't think that the children will take agency over their story at
Yeah.
some time.
We're forever adopted children,
Yeah,
right?
we're forever adopted children, and
Yeah.
that's going to be. And you're going to take it, it's almost a little bit abusive.
It
Okay,
is. Yeah.
if I can be
Definitely.
honest,
It's assimilating.
like take that, take that, take that.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Pause.
Yeah.
that's a
For
little
real.
bit, especially when you don't have, especially when you're in a family and you're literally just looking for answers. You're not trying to
Mm-hmm.
disrupt anyone. You're not trying to make
Mm-hmm.
anyone mad. You're not trying to make anyone cry.
Mm-hmm.
You just want the answers and the truth about your life, and now it's offending the family, and now
Yeah.
you're too emotional, and what are you bringing that
Bruh.
up for, and what do you need to know that for? And it's like,
Yeah. Yeah.
am I living in the Twilight Zone?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
is
we
there
are.
Right
is
there.
there is there a bus out of here?
Yes, we are.
Like, is there another land that we could go
Mm-hmm.
to, milk and honey with the answers?
Yeah.
Like, are
Come
the
on.
answers over there? That's all we want are the
Mm-hmm.
answers. We're not trying
Mm-hmm.
to be mean, disrespectful. We really just want to know the truth about our lives. And when
Yeah.
that's withheld from us, it does make you go crazy. Like, you use that word harmony, crazy. Like, it makes
Mm-hmm.
you, not love, not trust, not want to open up, not want to be vulnerable. It's like, get away from me at this point. Like, what? Like, you adopted me, but now I really just want you to get away from me, because
Yeah.
everything that you did for me was for you,
Yeah.
obviously.
Mm-hmm.
When was it for me, and how are you going to really make me believe that it was for me when
Mm-hmm.
I can't even ask you a simple question and get the truth?
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
You know?
That's exactly it. And that's actually what ended up happening. I left my adoptive home at 14. So you're talking about being a foster home. So I ended up in foster care.
Please.
Girl, I left them at 14 and I've never gone back. So to broaden the perspective of the whole thing, it's like, and it's not even that, right? Like we were very homeless in my adoptive home. We had very little money, we had very little food, like we lived in tents. Like by the time I was 14, we moved 14 times. So I was
And
adopted
Canada?
into Canada. So I was adopted to experience things that people in the States weren't experiencing: homelessness, food shortage, being poor. And then I was so confused and angry and just shut down that if I wouldn't have left my adoptive home, I would have killed them. Like I got violent to that point. So now I'm in foster care. Now the foster parents are trying to tell me stuff and I'm like, you're not my mom. So I'm leaving. So from 14 to 16, I went crazy. I was doing drugs. I was going in and out of jail. Like I was involved in a gang. Like, and I wonder sometimes, like, because I'm in a kinship, it's like when we were in a crisis in Canada with my great aunt and uncle, where's the family? You know? Um,
Yeah.
so it just adds a whole nother level of like, this was supposed to be better for me. I don't know if this was better for me, you know?
I always say that adoption is not better for a
Mm-hmm.
child. It gives them a different story.
Different. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just different. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that it's better,
Mm-hmm.
because y'all could have kept me in North Carolina if I knew I
Yeah.
was going to be
Yeah.
exploring and having homelessness problems.
That's right. Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And not, I don't want to, Leon, you know how I joke. I know this, but
Yeah. No, it's fine.
it's like those
Mm-hmm.
are the thoughts that would have been running through my head.
Of
Like,
course. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
you know, did the Lord want this for me? Like, you know what I mean? I would keep asking
Yeah. Yeah.
questions. Like, is this
Well,
really
yeah.
the Lord? He
Mhm.
said exceedingly and abundantly, and right now
This ain't either.
this is not exceedingly and abundantly
Yeah.
above all else.
Yeah, this ain't it.
This
No,
ain't
yeah.
it. So
Yeah.
like, those are the thoughts that would have ran through my head. Where it's just
Mhm.
like, as an adoptee, those are the thoughts that run through our head. Like, okay, I was adopted,
Mhm.
and this is my reality.
Mhm.
Why couldn't I just stay in
Right.
North Carolina? Why, if it
Right.
was going to be a struggle, let it be a struggle with those who are my biological family,
Right.
especially now that I'm a daughter, but I'm not really a daughter. I'm a great niece, and I'm a, like, you know what I mean?
And
Like,
now
you're,
it's just weird.
and like you
Thanks,
said, for
guys.
your children, and having that realization that you never got the grandfather experience. Like,
Mhm.
I've I've never had a grandfather, like
Mhm.
not on my adopted mother's side, not on my adopted father's side, not on my
Mm.
biological mother's side, and not
Wow.
on my biological father's side.
Mhm.
So I'm right there with you. Like, what's a grandfather? Like,
Mhm.
and it's funny because I always say I'm the oldest of seven, right? And I'm like, dang,
Mhm.
like I'm the oldest of seven. I'm the oldest sibling. I need an older sibling. But
Right.
sometimes that's what your like what your grandparents' role is sometimes,
Yep.
right? Like that
Yep.
person that you could go to their house and they really give you the honest truth, and
Mhm.
they give you those life skills, that wisdom, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we don't have that experience, and to just sit there and really think about that is like, wow, like that's just a
Yeah.
part of that, like that's literally a part of the family tree that I'll never be able to fill out or say that I experienced that.
Mhm.
There's always been
Mhm.
a grandmother, like, you
Mm.
know what I mean, but that grandfather piece was never there. And
Mhm.
honestly, I don't know if I would have want either of my parents' father to be my grandfather, to be quite honest,
Okay.
because I think that's where a lot of the trauma came from
Ah.
him.
Oh, let's talk about it. Come on.
So, like, it's
Yeah.
like you don't have it, but did you really want it?
Right. Right. Right.
So it's those things as adoptees where it's just like we see where we lack, we see what
Mhm.
we didn't have, we weigh things that we shouldn't be weighing. Like, you know what I mean? It's a lot for us to process.
So
And
much falls on us.
I'm
It's
tired of being a strong
exhausting.
one, Harmony. I
Yeah.
every show, Lord. I'm
Yeah.
tired of being your strongest soldier. Okay?
Help me, Lord. Mm-mm.
Tired of it. I'm sick. I
Yeah.
just want to be somewhere where I could just be weak, and
Mhm.
it be okay that I'm weak.
Yeah,
Okay?
for real.
I'm tired of it. Okay? I
Mhm.
like
Yeah.
they don't understand. They don't understand.
It's a lot. It's a lot for
It is.
sure.
So, your identity today is biracial, a transracial, international kinship adoptee. Like, how has it shaped you as a person, and you're a mom?
Mhm.
So how has that experience shaped you, and how are you using that experience to mother by
Mm.
own biological children?
Ooh, that's a deep question. I think having kids added another level of how did we get here to my adoption story, right? Because, like I said, I left home. I got pregnant when I was 15, had my first kid when I was 16, which was younger than my mom did. I was
Mhm,
in jail at the time when I was pregnant. I got out. I was pregnant in a homeless shelter, like blah, 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 right? Like my situation was very bad.
mhm,
My lawyer told me, you're going to have to give your kid up for adoption, which kind of like, I was like, oh, I should probably get off the streets. I should leave this gang, like all this crazy stuff. So, the fact I still have my kid's 23 years old. My second kid is 21. So it's like it adds a level of like you really couldn't do it, It
mhm.
almost like digs the
Right.
knife in harder. Like you had all your family support. I had no family support. I raised my kids by myself. So that makes the story harder for me. Raising my kids has really been like, do not let them feel this pain that I have felt my entire life, right? Like I know it well, it lives in me. I know it. And I could
Mhm,
not do that to my kids. And in the same breath, my family was telling me to give my kids up for adoption because, adoption is so great. So you love your kids so much you give them up for adoption. So that's the narrative that's going on in my head, right? So it was like a fight. Like, do I actually love my kids if I keep them? Because if you love them, you give them up for adoption, right? So I thought about giving my kids up for adoption. not because I didn't want them, but because
It
that
was
was the
just
pressure from the family, right? Like, this is the right thing to do. And I'm glad I did it. And I've asked my kids, like, do you wish I gave you up for adoption? Like, we weren't in the most ideal situation, but I never left them. And they
mhm.
both said, no, like, there's no way that we wish we weren't raised by you. So that, I think it's a huge accomplishment because I just feel like I did something that really nobody in my family could do for me, you
Right.
know? Um, so yeah, my kids, I mean, we grew up together. I had my first one when I was 16, so we grew up together. It was hard, it was super hard, but it gave me a lot of strength. I feel like a superhero. Like, it was
Oh,
so hard, honestly. Like, raising them, I was just like, I don't think I can do this. And I just remember like going in the bathroom and screaming and crying and God, please help me. Like, I can't do this. Like, no wonder my mom gave me up for adoption. Like,
mm,
it's so crazy to have already the normal parenting struggles and then have this whole narrative as an adopted person going on in your head. And even sometimes I still wonder, like, should I have given them up for adoption? They could have had a two-parent home. They could have had this white picket fence. They wouldn't have had to grow up in public housing, like all this stuff. And I try not to let that overtake me, but I'd be lying to say it doesn't go on in the back of my head. But I'm super proud of myself. My kids are super cool. They've never been to jail. You know what I mean? Like, they're totally opposite of what I was growing up. So I think I did a good job. And I don't know where that strength came from, but yeah, I'm super proud of myself.
child, we got to pull that string from our toenails, okay?
Girl. Yeah.
We got to like
Yeah.
some because some days just feel impossible.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
that's just the truth. Some days feel
Hmm.
impossible. Some days you allow that pain to just permeate through your whole body, and
Yeah.
it paralyzes you in some
Hmm.
instances. And then you just fight to see another day. And
Yeah.
then another day turns into a 21-year-old and like you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like it's just crazy how we
Did
can look
it.
back and say we did that. Like
Hmm.
and like you said, we did something for our children that others couldn't do for us.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
honestly, that's what you want to give to your children.
Yeah. For
The
real.
things that
Yeah.
other people couldn't give to you because you know the pain that you felt. You know
Hmm.
the, sleepless nights and the, wondering why and the curiosity not being
Hmm.
fulfilled with answers and truth. Like you know what that's like. And so you wouldn't want your children to feel that.
Right.
How is you never went back, which tells me, but I also don't want to assume that your children have a relationship with your great aunt and great uncle.
Yeah, so I never went back to live with them. I do feel like a little bit of an obligation towards them. And by no means do I hate them, right?
Right.
Like, I wouldn't say they're bad people. I would just say like the situation's really messed up and you guys just aren't able to see beyond your narrative, right? So my kids have spent time with them. That's
Mhm.
their grandma and grandpa for the most part. Um and I mean, they're also older, so they don't really spend a lot of time with them, especially anymore. They're in their 80s, close to 90s already. So,
Mhm.
they did spend time with them. Yeah, we've spent Christmases and stuff.
Mhm.
It's me who
Yeah.
has the problem. It's not my children.
Yeah.
I feel weird around them, right? It's not so much
Yeah.
them. So,
No, I understand. I understand.
mhm.
Whew, this has I nothing could have prepared me
Mhm.
for a lot of the things that you
I
have.
did warn you. Y'all thought I was joking.
So, how has your understanding of family changed, throughout your life? Has it evolved, or because as adults we live our lives, we have our own lives, and so
Mhm.
incorporating our family is, like you said, sometimes we feel like we do that out of obligation.
Mhm.
You've raised your two children, but how have you really come to understand family? Because in a kinship adoption, you were surrounded by family.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't even know if I have an answer for that. I mean, I'm very much like a loner. So my family is like me and my kids. That's what we always say. Like, we only just have each other, right? And I guess we do have like my family, but I don't know. There's so much damage. So I think, they say you can't pick your family, you can pick your friends. Like, thank God. because I feel closer to people that I've picked versus people that I'm like biologically related to, you know? And
Amen.
I think that could potentially be different if people were able to be more open, you know, because I struggle with how are we supposed to have an honest relationship if we can't even be fully present and honest and answer these really hard, like confusing questions that may make you look really bad, but like I'm not here to make you look bad, you know? So I struggle with that because I'm very like, I'll say whatever, you know, I'm not scared to say anything. I'll tell you the truth. That's my personality, right? I guess everyone's not like that. But yeah, family, I don't know if the word really means a lot to me. Um, and I don't think that's healthy or good, but I do think that's what the situation has produced in me.
Hmm.
Hmm. But in the same breath, I mean, my kids are adults, so at some point they're gonna have kids, and I know that will be my family, and I will do everything in my power to make sure like those relationships are together and healthy, you know. So I have my family, I guess, which I've produced, my lineage, right? And then I do hope to be closer to my biological family. Like it's not like I'm like go away, but I don't know how to balance the hurt and the unrealness. I don't do good with that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
mhm.
It's almost like, you know, not to say that we are, I hate to call, like, you know, when they be like, you, I'll call it a cycle, not a curse. It's not a
Mhm.
curse.
Mhm.
And I think that a lot of adoptees break the cycle
Yep.
when they first start, you know, expressing themselves, talking about it.
Mhm.
Because really, when you look down the generations, you're going to see a lot of generations that are completely the same. And then here comes the adoptee generation.
Mhm.
And it's like, okay, we have no blood connection to you guys. We have no, you know, you raised us. You know, you kind of formed us. But when we have our own children, it's almost like there's a little bit of a breakage
Mhm.
that generation because we hold so many our there the duality within adoption
Yes.
is just so vast that we do turn in our the way we raise our kids, the way that we talk to them, the way that we show up for them emotionally because we know what we needed.
Yeah.
We do break a lot of those cycles.
Mhm.
And, you know, unfortunately or fortunately, an adoptee has to do it and not even a biological part of the family, right? But when
Mhm.
the biological, I mean, when the adoptee does it, we're rebellious.
Oh.
We're, you know, something is wrong with them. Why are they
Oh.
bringing this up? They want to cause chaos. They just want the family to
Oh.
be divided. And that's not it. Yet
Mhm.
we can see it from the vantage point that we're sitting in, meaning we just want everybody to be happy. We want
Mhm.
everyone to get along. We just want the truth to be able to flow freely without there being
Mhm.
any restriction of anyone's feelings being hurt. That's all we want. But
Yeah.
it's looked at as we're trying to disrupt, we're trying to be defiant, we
Mhm.
are being rebellious, and
Mhm.
we already have to deal with the loss, right?
Right.
So those words continuously resurrect that feeling of loss
Yeah.
because when you tell me I'm being rebellious, that means I'm not like the family and you don't want me in the
Mhm.
family.
Mhm.
You tell me that I'm trying to cause a divide, it's like, no, I'm not trying to cause a divide, but I was brung into a situation where I'm trying
Mhm.
to understand the dynamics of it.
Yeah.
And so, you know, how have you dealt with being that person? You know, because me and you sound very similar in that
Mhm.
we're going to be honest about our feelings and it's sitting with us is going to turn into a volcano. Like it's
Yeah.
going to erupt because we're if you're, you know, truly like me, I like to carry, I like to travel light. I
Right.
don't want to travel daily with this burden of feeling like, you know, why can't I get the truth or why can't we have these conversations? So how do you
Mhm.
deal with that? How do you, you know, deal with being the person that is going to speak her truth and get that conversation started?
Mhm. I could probably find like a nicer way to do it. I might be like, just talk about it. Just tell me, like, what is the problem? Um, I've kind of come to the conclusion that I don't know how much louder I can yell for people to hear me. I've come to understand that it's not so much about me. I think adoptive parents are very fragile because in me needing to talk about my mom, that reinforces the fact that you're not my mom. And so my doctor is very sensitive to that because I'm her daughter, which, yeah, you did daughter things with me, but, you know, um, I, I don't know. I feel like coming out of the fog, I asked questions back to back to back for years, and I don't know how long you can keep doing that. So I've started putting my questions into music. So I'm a singer, so I artistically am bleh, getting it all out in the studio and in
Right?
art projects and stuff like that. And I've just found like talking to adoptees is probably better than trying to get any more answers from my family because it's like I don't know what the problem is. So I'm still definitely trying to know like what do I do now? How do I live now that I know all that I know? And I'm in this position where I'm not going to continue to call you mom and dad anymore, which makes everything super awkward. And I'm not gonna like I call my mom and dad my mom and dad. I call my cousins my cousins, I call my grandma my grandma. I'm not doing that anymore.
Yeah.
And if that makes you feel weird and if you can't handle it, then I don't I don't know what to say to you because we're lying at this point.
Mhm.
On my birth certificate is not my mom and dad, it's my great aunt and uncle. And I feel so weird even presenting it anywhere because it's like, do I now have to lie and say that these are my parents? They're not. So I'm not really sure if I've fully figured out how to handle this now. Um, yeah, I still think it's very complicated and very complex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think one of the best ways to handle it is to have these conversations, right?
Hmm.
Because um,
We need a
when
trip to
you,
the Bahamas. That's
yeah,
Hey, book
we
it
need to take a
now.
cruise.
we need a, let's
we
go on a
need
cruise.
I'm
we
We're
need
gonna
a
down.
adoptee
have fun.
cruise.
Look, y'all got me thinking now, okay?
Do it, girl.
No, I mean, all jokes aside, is really I resonate with what you're saying because like when you keep asking or you're trying to get those answers, only certain people in your family know certain information, right? Like,
Hmm.
so you might talk to somebody and they might be able to give you some information, but they might be, stuck at some place where
Right.
they don't have that information. You got to find somebody, it's like an investigation. You investigate the person until they don't have any more information.
Hmm.
And then you try to, they refer you to somebody else, and then you talk to them to you blue in the face, and then they don't have any more information, and you go to the next person. And so I
Hmm.
think that's what it's like. So, like, when my sister came on for me, she divulged a lot of information that I was not aware of. And so
Oh.
it basically turned a light on for me, and
Mm.
a lot of the things that I had experienced as far as medically made sense now
Wow.
because of the things that she had told me.
Right.
And I've been talking to my birth mother's first cousin, and she's told me a lot of information. And then her daughter, she said, her daughter didn't even know. So there's a narrative in my family that I passed away as a child.
Mm, mm, mm,
Yeah. So
mm.
Oh,
I
Crazy.
reached out to one of the ladies who thought I had passed away, and
surprise.
yeah,
Shoot.
and she sent me like one message, and then like I was trying to message her again, and then she never responded. Like if I show you my Facebook inbox of the people that I have reached out to, Ancestry DNA, you could see that they read it because technology tells you so.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you know that they see it and they're not responding.
Mm-mm.
Um, you know, and my grandmother, which would be my father's mother, she lived 2 miles from where I grew up in Detroit.
Oh,
So
whoa.
I met her, me and my adopted mom, we met her together.
Wow.
And I haven't met anybody else on my father's side of the family except
Wow.
my grandmother and my aunt. So
Mm-hmm.
I totally understand what you're going through. And, with that being said, these conversations, I feel like even though we're not therapists, but we can resonate with everyone's story, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, so you don't have to be in a person's life to understand
Mm-hmm.
like what they've been through. But you can listen and just try to, be encouraged. Don't give up. It's gonna be all right. You made it this
Mm-hmm.
far without them. You're gonna
Yeah.
make it even further without them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree. I think the mirroring is so helpful because I think what I was looking for my entire life. And I feel like it's just such a simple fix. Yes, this has been painful. Yes, you lost your mom. Yes, you don't look like any of us. Yes, whatever, right? Instead
Hmm.
of when we as adopted people are bringing, like, I am in so much pain because I lost my mom. Don't be like, well, I'm your mom, this is your dad. Like that's not helping. You know what I mean? So even like you said, these conversations is just like, whoa, you're mirroring me. Like it does hurt to lose my mom. You know, it is okay that I feel out of place. Like,
Hmm.
if there's safety just right there, and now we can go somewhere. We can teach, or we can help, or we can advise. But if you're not able to sit with the truth, like it's the truth. We
Hmm.
lost so much.
Yeah.
I'm not your child, you do parental things for sure, but I think that's up to us if we want to call you mom or dad. So the mirroring is so important, and to acknowledge that puts a whole lot on the adoptive family, right? But they I mean, I heard someone say adoption doesn't happen in healthy families on either side, right? So if it's hard for you to hear that I miss my mom, I don't want to live here, like that is not on me to fix that for you. Like you need to go figure out as adoptive parents, why does that make you feel uncomfortable that this child misses its mom and doesn't want to live here? You know what I mean? That's not on us.
Yeah.
So there's just so much education and knowledge that needs to get out, and I loved coming across your platform because I was like, yes, it's happening, people are talking about it. I think it says down here, say the loud or the I don't
Uncomfortable.
know, the uncomfortable, say it out loud. Like we
Hmm.
have to. Yeah, I'm so grateful for this platform. So
Yeah, and I'm
thank you
grateful
guys.
that you agreed to share your story with us
Hmm.
because, again, I have this platform, but, well, ironically, now there's another person at my job who started there and he's adopted. He'll actually be on the show on Tuesday.
Hey,
But it's
hey.
crazy how now I do believe in God, right? I grew up in a
Amen.
home where my dad's a deacon. We were raised in the church and things of that nature. I believe that
Nice.
everybody has to have their own relationship with God and their own
Right.
personal relationship with God. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
I'm never going to push God on someone. However, I do believe that God's hand is on adoptees' lives because
Yeah.
God is for truth.
Yeah.
Period.
Hey. Yep.
Like,
Hmm.
period. God is for
Hmm.
truth.
Hmm.
Period. And
Hmm.
if he looked over us and made sure that we were good, and you know what I mean, we may have had to go through our trials and da 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 da,
Right.
but we had to take that up with him. That was,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
if he did all that and we're in these situations where we're looking for truth and we're not
Hmm.
finding it, he's going to make sure truth finds us.
Hmm.
Right.
Right. And
Right.
so it's crazy how now two people that I work with, where I worked at this job for a very long time, and no one was ever adopted, but everybody knew that she was
Wow.
adopted because I'm not shy about my story.
Yeah.
So now I have two people who work with me who are adopted. And
Hey.
I just continue to like attract
Yeah.
people who are adopted or who are in foster care.
Right.
And this wasn't my reality before I really started, doing more of the adoption content. And so I'm like,
Right.
maybe things are just, forming and working, and I'm just not seeing everything, and I'm just still in the makings of it. But I'm just so happy that I'm coming across, adoptees like yourself who are willing, who are just like, you know what, sign me up. What do I got to do? I'll join. I'll share my story because I think that
Right.
to be heard. And like you said, it's a safe space for us to now like woosah,
Yeah.
because some of us don't have families where we can openly
Yep.
speak about adoption and feel safe and feel like, we're recharged after the conversation,
Mhm.
and we've gone to
Mhm.
a higher level in our relationships, right? Some of us
Yeah.
don't have that. Some of us
Mhm.
get, a door shut in our face, or why are you asking this, or you're too,
Aren't you grateful?
aren't you grateful? Yes. And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah.
yes, I like two things can be true
Mhm.
at the same time. So we're basking in this truth. Let's
Yeah.
address this truth and acknowledge this truth and sit
Mhm.
with that truth. And as uncomfortable it is for adoptees to go through that truth, it's even more uncomfortable when we have to sit in it alone.
Yeah.
Right? It's like you chose this, but you're not choosing this part of our story to be included in, and that's not fair to
Mhm.
me because you
Yeah.
chose to be here for me. And to
Mhm.
tell me that you're not going to be here for me is almost an insult
Yeah.
because it's
Yeah.
like now it's like your love is more so conditional than
Conditional. Very.
and
Yeah.
so now I see that you love with conditions, but what it teaches us to do is to not want to connect
Mhm.
because we're not being connected with in the ways that we need it the most,
Yeah.
right? You can clothe
Mhm.
us, you can feed us, you can, and in some cases you don't do that well,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Like I'm,
Mhm.
just being honest. Like how do
Mhm.
we find ourselves, looking for shelter and looking for
Mhm.
food and there being food shortages, like,
Yeah.
so if anything is going to connect us, is going to be the truth of the
Yeah.
matter, right?
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
that costs nothing.
Yeah.
That's free.
Yeah.
However, it does seem like it costs a lot of adoptive parents a lot to actually
Lots.
have these conversations. And
Yeah.
while it's costing you by not having the conversation, you know, us having these conversations is us getting a little bit free day after day after day, and others as
Mhm.
well who just
Mhm.
don't have the courage to show our faces, get on a platform and
Yeah.
say, this is my story.
Right. Yeah.
So I really do, applaud you and your strength and being able to raise two children without having, the support, but really
Mhm.
clawing your way. Like it's really a survival. Like we
Yeah.
learn how to survive, especially adoptees who don't have that emotional support. We
Yeah.
really learn how to survive emotionally. And
Mhm.
that sometimes is harder than surviving physically and trying to put a roof over your head and
Yeah.
food in your mouth. Like getting up out of the bed sometimes is a hard time,
Hey. Yeah.
right? Like it's
Yeah.
like, all right, I got food in the refrigerator, I'm paying my rent
But how do I get to the refrigerator?
there, right?
Yeah.
I know
Yep.
to wash my behind. All
Yeah.
right. Like, it's those things where it's just like you want to tap out, but
Mhm.
us as mothers, you can't tap out. You have children
No.
who are depending on you, and you
No days
know,
off.
you no days off. And
Mhm.
so having this community, I think is just doing wonders for those who say that it is,
Mhm.
for those who just haven't spoken up yet. Because
Yeah.
a lot of social media you'll find, and I know you're growing in your platform, and thank you for
Mhm.
coming out of the shadows and saying, you know what, I got to put my foot down. I have to advocate for others. But a
Mhm.
lot of social media is 80% of the people are non-followers, 20% of the people are your actual followers
Mhm.
who will engage. And so
Yeah.
80% of the people are just watching from the sidelines, like, oh,
Right.
what they doing over there? What they talking
Yeah.
about?
That's
You know
true.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They'll never make themselves present. They'll never say anything.
Yeah.
However, that 20% will show up and they will, be there and you'll see them. But there's a whole population
Mhm.
who aren't saying anything, but they are
Yeah.
watching.
They're
So I
watching.
know that
Mhm.
they're appreciative of your story. I know that they're saying, "Oh my God, how did she get through that? Oh my God, how does she, how does she have two kids, college,
Mhm.
and and it's like,
Mhm.
yes, like we actually need a higher power,
Yeah.
like
You have
because
to. Yeah.
no one can really orchestrate our story, like there's a lot of things that has happened in my adoption story where it's just like,
Mhm.
I know, that this couldn't have been a plan of any human being.
Right,
It
right.
had to be a plan of God.
Mhm.
However, I don't like when it's used as a, well, God told me to da 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 da. Da.
Scapegoat.
Yeah, I don't like
Yeah.
when it's used in that sense because
Mhm.
I'm not denying God talked to you,
Right, right.
but if He
But
talked
I
to
ain't seen
you,
that in the Bible nowhere. Come on.
and if He
Give
talks
your
to you,
child where?
right, if He talks to you, why isn't He still talking to you about me? Because I'm
Mhm.
talking to you about me, so I
Are
know
we in church? What is
if He
this?
said something, then it's Sunday, girl.
Yeah.
Right? If He
True.
said something,
Amen.
He's saying something now. All right.
Yeah, for
You
real.
can't tell me that you're not hearing from where your Jesus ears at now.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah, yeah.
So, I believe that there is a higher power, but again, I think that God, his ultimate, he is truth, right?
Mhm.
He's the truth, the way, in the life. So if you're avoiding truth,
Mhm.
to me, that's not of God.
Yep, that's
Like,
true.
period.
Mhm.
And that's a truth
Yeah.
that,
See?
that the Jesus folk don't want to hear,
Yeah.
right? They're like, you don't want to hear
Yeah.
that truth, but
Yeah.
you want to tell me, oh, I'm going to pray on this situation, or I'm going to do that,
Right.
I'm going to do this, and you use it when it's
Mhm.
convenient for you, and not
Mhm.
necessarily, for the whole.
Right.
And most parents become parents to become a whole family, and so if
Right.
you're really going to have a whole family, connect on levels that are uncomfortable for you. Period.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because there had to be other times in our parents' lives where things got uncomfortable. How did you handle it?
Hey. Jeez, for real. Mhm.
How did you handle it? And if you handle it like this, something wrong.
Mhm.
Because
Mhm.
that means that's how you handled stuff. And that's
Yeah,
why you can't handle this. You know
that's
what I mean?
right.
Sometimes,
Yeah.
I'm being serious, like sometimes we can see things that our parents don't want us to see, but we see it
Oh yeah. Yeah.
clear. It's
Yeah.
evident. You don't have to
Yeah.
tell me that you were an avoidant for me to see that you're an
Yeah.
avoidant.
Yeah. Mhm.
Meaning that this hasn't been the most difficult situation that you've been faced with.
Right.
And if you're avoiding this one, you probably have avoided other difficult
Mhm.
situations in your life, and you just wrote them off, or you just isolated yourself, or you just said, it doesn't matter. But when you adopt children, you cannot do that.
Yeah. You don't
And
have
if
that
you
luxury.
do that,
Mhm.
just know that there's going to be a kickback. These children,
Mhm.
we're going to get older. We're going to have our own voices, and we're going to be able to speak the truth in love, and only
Mhm.
hope that one day that everyone can come to, a connection. And if that doesn't happen, we have to continue to move on with our lives and our
Yeah.
stories. And if the best that we can do is advocate for others so they don't, feel that rejection or loneliness or abandonment,
Right.
that's what we're going to do.
Mhm. Mhm.
I've been meaning to ask you this from the very
Mhm.
beginning when you said it, but was your name always Harmony, or did your parents change your name?
Oh, there's a whole story. So that wasn't my birth name. I have always ran from my birth name. Always, 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 always. And
Really?
ever since I can remember, I've always said like I'm gonna change my name from
Really?
like a child, like as a child who shouldn't even be thinking like that. I've said it. So I'm in the process of changing my name. Um, my middle name is super sensitive to me because my biological mom had 5 other kids after me, and she named her next one that she kept my middle name. So she like named us both, I guess, the same name. So it's my name is just I've never felt like the name they gave me, and then my middle name is just like, why would you do that? Makes me feel replaced. So yeah, I've changed my name. Yeah.
Wow.
Mhm.
So you have 5 other siblings.
Yeah, my mom had 5 other kids. Yeah,
Have you met any of them? Are
I
you
have.
looking
Yeah.
forward to meeting them?
I have met them. I did visit my mom, like I said, a handful of times
Mhm.
throughout my childhood. I have met them. Yeah, they're there.
Okay.
It's so weird because again, it's like if we can't have these conversations as to why this relationship, yeah, we're sisters, we're half siblings, whatever. If we can't have a conversation as why this is weird or hard or challenging for me, you know, what do we do? Where's the foundation of our solid relationship? And it's like anytime I want to talk about these things, I feel like they're like, God, God, like it's I can't keep getting such positive responses to something that is so traumatizing to me. Just
Yeah.
mirror it for a second. Just sit in the uncomfortableness. So again, they don't have those skills either. And so I don't know what to do with
Yeah.
these relationships. And like I mentioned before, my grandma just died and nobody told me. So it's like, what do we do now? You call me your sister, you say we're family. So I'm the only one that wasn't told that she was my grandma before she was your grandma. You know what I mean? Like let's really talk about it. So I don't know what to do. So that's what's currently happening. I don't know what to do with that.
Okay. That
So
makes sense.
yeah,
Sense.
it's yeah.
And you don't want to continue to go somewhere where
Yes.
you're not necessarily being acknowledged. That's a
Mm-hmm.
rough thing in itself.
Yeah.
So you put a little space there, you put a little time in between there,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I will say I will continue to pray for that
Mm-hmm.
those relationships, because
Right.
having siblings is like having built-in best friends.
That's what
However,
I thought. Yeah.
yeah, if it's not clicking, then that's a travesty in itself, because it's
Mm-hmm.
supposed to be, cool. Like my
Mm-hmm.
siblings, love them to death, but sometimes we don't talk. Sometimes we argue. Sometimes we fight. Sometimes,
Right.
like, you know what I mean? Like, we have
Mm-hmm.
that sibling relationship. I'm not looking for it to be perfect, and I hope they not either.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not looking for it to be perfect, but at
Yeah.
the same time, we still have this same level of understanding, because we went through, we were all
Mm.
adopted. Well, one of us wasn't. Me and my brother was adopted together, so we went through it together. But we still have this foundation that's still like on the same plane.
Right. Right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's interesting to hear other adoptees and their stories, because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes we can even get caught up in comparing our stories, right? Like
Of
Franklin
course.
was
Yeah.
on here last week, and we was like, I want your story. I wish,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then someone can look at me and be like, I wish I had your story, or I wish I
Mm-hmm.
part of my story was, intact or in a positive place. And it's just like, again, that's why we have this platform, because
Mm-hmm.
you know you need to be able to get some of these things off your chest, or you need to
Mm-hmm.
be able to express yourself in a place where people actually understand you and tell you that you're
Right.
not crazy for feeling that way.
Yeah.
you know
Ooh, those keywords right there.
yeah, in a world where you're looked at as different or other, or not fitting in or not acceptable, here we are all here in the same boat that we none of us asked to be in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Mm-hmm.
the same with people who were biologically in their families. They didn't ask to be there, but they deal with
Mm-hmm.
all the mess that goes on with their
Right.
families. Whereas we were born into a family, and then we're given to another family, but that family
Mm-hmm.
has mess too. It
Yeah.
doesn't make them a
Yeah.
perfect, clean, sent from heaven, angels,
Right.
perfect people. Like, they have their own mess too. So
Mm-hmm.
it's navigating and being able to maneuver within these relationships, but still try to keep sanity
Mm-hmm.
and identity, of
Mm-hmm.
ourselves. um because being raised with your white great aunt and great uncle, yes, that's a part of your identity,
Mm-hmm.
but knowing the black side of your family and heritage and things of that nature, that's also important in who
Yeah.
you are, and
Yeah.
your kids. Like you said,
Yeah.
your kids,
Mm-hmm.
you will have
Yeah.
kids,
Yeah.
and when they're looking down at the family line, or when they're trying to hear stories from mom about the family, how do they really put these things together if no
Yeah.
one is willing to put them together for you?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I don't think that adoption is thought out that
It's
far.
not.
I
It's a
really think
crisis, and people are like, "How do we deal with
how do
this
we right here,
crisis?" Yeah.
right?
Yeah. That's
And it's
it.
like, you don't think about the future, and
Mm-hmm.
then when you get adopted, parents are doing the best that they can. I'll just say that
Yeah.
they're doing the
Yeah.
best they can. And when they're told that there could be areas of improvement and that's ignored, you stay stagnant.
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Life happens, you become a mom. As a mother, you know that you're not going to be a stagnant mother. You know
Yeah.
that you're going to always want to learn something that you can teach your children, or
Mhm.
learn something that you know yourself that you can use in your life. And so
Right.
when you see others around you being stagnant or having that, fixed mindset, it can be
Mhm.
frustrating.
Yeah.
It can be very frustrating because at some point it's like, you're not raising me anymore, or you're not
Yeah.
being that parent to me anymore. Now you're just
Mhm.
an associate, really. What are
Yeah.
you really doing for me? Like you
That
said,
part.
call you mom and dad. At this point, what's the point of that?
Yeah. For real. Yeah.
Might as well
Mhm.
just call you your first names.
Right.
Because it's
Right.
like strangers in the street anyway. You don't want to get
It's
to know.
true.
You
Yeah.
don't want to get to know what hurts me or what ails
Mhm.
me. So, what relationship are we really trying to solidify here, or
Mhm. Mhm.
make it look like to the world that it's something that it's not?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're just being placed from one bucket of trauma into another bucket of trauma.
Yeah.
Like you're
Mhm.
not really, um, like, because no situation is perfect, right? Because like
Mhm.
you said, every family has problems. Like they all have their own issues, and so the issues that you were placed into might not be as egregious as where you came from,
Right. Mhm.
but you still have to deal with whatever that is, right? Like,
Yeah.
so if it's, you know, you might been abused when you are a child, and so like, now you're not getting abused, but like, you might have parents who um might say certain things, or you might have
Right.
certain family members that you know how you be around them certain family members, and they be throwing them little digs at in the
Hey.
air and
Yeah.
acting like you don't hear it, act like you deaf.
Mhm.
And so I think it's just being able to manage like where you are and who you're around.
Mhm. Mhm. I agree. Yeah, definitely not easy. I think one of the challenging parts of coming out with my story was when I first started coming out of the fog. I found the adoption community and I was like, wow, people who are saying what I'm saying, but then I started seeing that people were saying, oh, keep with the family, kinship's the best, da 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 da. And I'm not saying it's not, but I was like, oh, like I don't belong here. But why am I able to finish your guys' sentences about the trauma you're saying you're experiencing as a closed adoption and international or whatever? Like there's two parts to it. It's like the separation from our moms is a huge trauma, and then however your adoptive family situation goes, that's either like a concurrent trauma or
Mm-hmm.
it could be totally amazing, but we start with this broken loss,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that's universal for all of us.
Yeah,
um so I think it's thrown around that adoption is trauma, yes, but the separation is the biggest trauma, and that
yeah.
doesn't go away because we have new moms or dads, or we have a dog, or we have a house or two parents. Like that doesn't go away.
Mm-hmm.
So it's hard.
So, as you go along your journey, and you may have already answered this,
Hmm.
but I'm going to ask again, or I'm going to ask and you may say it again, excuse me. But
Hmm.
what does healing look like for you today?
Hmm.
Like, what does it look like as you go through your journey and you're still learning and you're still processing? Has your definition of healing changed as you've gotten older and become a mom?
Yeah, I think healing before would have been like pretending I'm not mad at the situation, pretty much submitting to this narrative. So as long as I didn't cry, I'm okay. Or, I I don't know, like just pretty much like submitting to the assimilation. I felt like that was healing. Now I feel like that I've processed all this stuff. Everything's like, okay, I can look at everything and see what's really going on. Healing at this point, I feel like if I can make it through the week without having like I call them, I feel adopted today. That's what I call it. Like
Mhm.
I think that's so good, like, because I don't know, for me, it like takes me out, it's just like, it is this like, oh, this painful, just almost like depression, which I can't explain. It's just like in me, I've known that my whole life. Healing looks like being able to talk about it. I haven't cried once, and that's good, I think, because I feel like I've integrated myself into myself by talking about it, by sitting with the pain, you know, having these conversations, being mirrored. I'm not fighting myself so much because adoption taught me to like reject myself to please
Mm,
you guys, you know.
mm,
And then I still feel like I'm really trying to figure out who Harmony is, because I've been what they've said this whole time, but like I wasn't ever that, you know. So um I feel more peaceful. I mean, this adoption stuff really led me into like a lot of drugs and all that kind of stuff for a majority of my life. And so I'm 2 and a little bit years sober. So that is life,
Awesome.
like completely mind changing, right? Like I've been high since I was like 8. Thank you. Yeah, I've been high since I was 13, you
wow.
know, so I've only got 2 years of a really sober mind, which
Mm,
I didn't even realize I was getting high to combat this anxiety and fear and trauma inside, right? So I'm on like this whole new pink cloud golden adventure right now of just like discovering myself, discovering what I really love, and like really just standing in who I am without the displacement, who I really am in my family, like calling my dad, calling my mom, even though that's still like confusing and whatever. Like I'm standing up for myself, and I'm not bowing to anything else. I refuse. Like I gave you guys everything. I assimilated for so long. I'm not doing it, you know. So it's a
doesn't
new adventure. It's nice.
it doesn't feel real after a
Mhm.
while, and that's
Mhm.
that's pretty much where my channel came from, the Real Precious, because it was just like,
Mm.
I have to be real with myself. I can't
Yeah.
try to fit in somewhere where I don't necessarily feel I fit in. You know,
Mhm. Mhm.
um, and so I say, if be real with yourself so you can be real with everyone,
Mhm.
right? Because when
Mhm.
you're fitting in, you're still not even really able to be yourself around others because you're
Yeah.
trying to be what others want you to be, right?
Mhm.
And that's it's so much pressure in that seat. I
Mhm.
know that if I'm able to be me, I can be my free, laughing, joking, singing, dancing
Yeah.
self without that being criticized or judged, or um,
Mhm.
things that I just could not be as an adoptee, I can be as
Mhm.
me. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's just
Mhm.
those things that you don't understand unless you're an adoptee.
Hey, yeah, that's true. That's the
You don't
facts.
understand it, right? Like,
Yeah.
there is no, when you're biologically in your family, yeah, there may be pressures to, go off to college or do
Mhm.
great things, but to actually be a daughter and a son like that, have hold that title, there's no pressure.
Mhm.
But
Yeah.
when you're an adoptee, there's a
Yeah.
little bit of pressure there because it's like I have to get used to you actually being my mom and dad, and you're
Yeah.
not, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
we're all strangers when we come into our family as adoptees, but as parents
Mhm.
of we're biological parents to our children, and
Children,
so
yeah.
there is a bond there that is unspoken because it's a,
Mhm.
a biological bond, and so we're not
The
strangers,
way
right?
God intended.
Yeah,
Whoa. Wow. That's
right.
crazy. Yeah.
There is no second thoughts. There is no like,
Mhm.
that's my baby. I'm gonna do whatever
Mhm.
needs to be done. And I'm just going
Yeah.
to, like, there is no question. But when you're adopted, it's like, okay, how do I be your how should I be your daughter? Or
Yeah.
are you expecting of me? Or
Mhm.
if I come to you with questions, am I gonna get shot down? Or like,
Yeah.
if my child comes to me with questions, she's not gonna get shot down. You know what I mean? If there are issues that I need to work on as a mom, then I'm going to ask her, hey, like, well, I asked my daughter, like, what do you think that I need to, is there things that I need to work
Right.
on? And she's like, yeah,
Mhm.
mom, you need to let me be a little bit more free and do the
Yeah.
I'm still working on that part. But if that's what I need to work on, then I'll take that.
Mhm.
Like, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, I'll take
Mhm.
not handing you over to this world quicker than you need to
Yeah.
be handed over to the world. That's the thing I
Yeah.
need to work on. But
Yeah.
always having that open dialogue, whereas in adoption it's almost like sometimes it's like shut
Yeah.
up and be quiet
Yeah.
and just exist here, right? And it's just
Mhm.
like, whoa,
Twilight Zone.
Twilight,
Mhm.
where did they do that at? And again, it's like borderline
Uh,
abusive because it's like,
mhm.
you expect me to not have feelings? Do you
Mhm.
expect me to not have, natural opinions about what I'm going through internally?
Hmm.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's that they don't expect you to have those feelings and those thoughts and traumas going on. I personally think that there's a lack of understanding from the
Yeah.
adoptee's perspective, and I think
Mhm.
that adopt those who want to adopt. Before you were born, did your great aunt and uncle go anywhere to talk to adoptees and ask them about their journey and what they, you know what I mean? It was just like, no, we'll take
No.
her,
Yeah.
and we will raise
Mhm. Mhm.
as our own because she is our own. But at the end of the day, we need to seek help ourselves because this is not natural.
Mhm. Mhm.
Like,
Especially if there's infertility, right? You're coming in with their own infertility. Like that's a huge loss. I've never experienced it, but like I can imagine wanting a baby so bad and whatever situation you had to go through, that's put on me
yeah,
as your adopted child. Like
yeah,
that's sad. Like you really need that's a loss, you know? So now we're both coming into this thing with a loss.
Hmm.
That's not helping anybody. I
yeah.
relate the relationship to tell me if you guys can relate to this. I say like my kids when they come to me they can dock. You know how we like dock our phone, the phone charges to 100%, cool, they're
Mm,
good to go. I've never docked with my any parent, right? So I can see it in my kids when they're stressed out or they call me. It's just like we don't even have to do too much, but there's this okay, and
uh,
it's just we've docked the phone is charging, they're getting to 100%, now we can get off the phone and they're going to be at 100 going back into the world.
yeah.
I've like stopped my charging at like 40 with my adopters, right? Like I've never gotten that
Like, is this
full
what
charge. Like yeah, this did it break, come on. You know what I mean? So it's like we just have to be real about that. Like you guys really
yeah,
couldn't give me all that I needed, you know, and I don't know if that's your fault, but I mean, you need to be aware of that, you know what I'm
yeah.
saying? So
And it can
I
all
I will say, like, um, my adopted mom, she was, um, she knew, like, when something was wrong. Like,
mm,
we were connected very tight. Um, because I got bullied a lot as a kid because
mhm,
I said I had light light blonde curly hair and green eyes. So like they were like, oh yeah, you don't look like nobody in your family. I used to come home crying every day. My mother used to
mhm,
be like, what's wrong? They said she used to say they just want to be like you.
right,
They see something in you that not in them.
mhm,
And so I say that to say, it's certain people I think in your family like you might have like a deeper connection with,
mm,
far as from your adopted side. Like mine was with my mom, and so um, it's really I really feel for people who didn't get that or can't get that because
mhm,
it's something that you need. Like
yeah,
I think when you're adopted, like you need people to be more caring and
yeah,
not less caring
yeah.
because
Not
yeah,
raised like your own
you
children. Like
already
we're
got
totally
the less
different.
care from your birth parents.
Mhm, mhm.
And so I think they went above and beyond
Wow.
to make sure that I had everything that I needed, as far as like from nurturing, from raising me, getting me into the right programs, as far as, they always say you should get into sports, as a kid, to just so your mind won't be focused on that one thing, right? And so, I play a lot of sports, and so I just think that you know we definitely appreciate you coming up and sharing with us. I did follow you, so follow us
Yay,
back.
thank
our
you.
harmony
Um,
energy mixed as a whole. If you're watching
Mhm.
run, if you are you can put this on and just do go about your business and just listen to this in the background. But definitely follow Harmony on IG at Mixed as a whole. She is have her social media that she's starting, and she's spreading awareness, and she's
Mm-hmm.
being an advocate, and definitely sharing your story and being vulnerable about your story. I see
Mm-hmm.
a lot of your posts where you talk about just being biracial and
Hmm.
kinship of it all. Like,
Yeah.
again, we don't I don't you're the first person who's been
Yeah.
adopted. Well, actually, it's happened in my family. It's actually happened
Ooh.
in my family. And a sibling of mine had a child. My aunt is raising the child,
Oh
and my
wow.
aunt always says that she struggles with, and my niece,
Mm-hmm.
who I have to call when we're around each other, like, that's your cousin. Like, no, it's not. That's my niece.
Weird.
Now, is
Like,
that something they do? Like, because I didn't never knew like how that works. So kinship basically, it shifts to like basically whatever role that they have, I guess.
I
Ours is a
guess.
little ours is a little different because it's kinship by blood. But because my sister was adopted, there is no documentation that says that my aunt or our aunt is our aunt, but she's our aunt. That's another thing with adoption. Like, when you're in a
Yeah.
closed adoption, even my siblings, the only sibling that I am legally related to is my brother that I got adopted with. But my other
Um,
siblings, according to the government or the state, they just they're strangers to me. They're not really my
wow.
siblings. But we know that we're siblings through blood,
Mhm.
right? So
Hmm.
this adoption is really, I can't even really say that it's a kinship. In my head, it's a kinship because I know that we're all family.
Right.
But according to the state of New Jersey, and my aunt,
Wow.
she used to be a cop, working in a hospital. So I don't know if she let them know, like, hey, yes, my niece was adopted, but this is really, or yes, she was the mother of the child was adopted, but this is really my niece through blood. I don't know. I don't even know.
Ooh, child.
I don't even know. But her struggle is always telling my niece that, how do I tell her that she's adopted? How do I, let her know? And the crazy part about it is my sister has been around. Like, my sister, it's not like my
Mhm.
sister's been an absentee parent. She just wasn't able to parent her daughter at that time the way that a child needs to be parented, right?
Mhm.
Almost taking in the same steps of our biological mom. And so, other than, like, I don't know any other adoptees that are kinship. And so
Mhm.
that in itself, you would think it's easy or easier, but when you hear your story, it's like it's not. And then you throw being in biracial,
Mhm. Yeah.
international, you're in
Mhm.
Canada, like
Mhm.
it's a lot. And
Mhm.
it's more than what, this hour and a half, 2 hours can really even hold. Cause, child, I want
Yeah.
to fly out to Canada and be like, girl, let's
No, we're going on the cruise.
in.
Remember? And then we can talk
Yes,
all of
yes,
it.
we got to do a
You know
trip.
what? I think we should do.
It's
I
bigger
think
than.
I think we should do like a adoptee friendsgiving.
Oh, that would be cool.
That's cute.
That would be cool. But it still
Do
need to
we
be a
have to be grateful though for being adopted?
we have to
Because
be
I ain't
great.
doing that. I'll be grateful for other stuff.
That would be cool though. I
Mm,
still think it needs to be a trip of some type of like, you know what I
somewhere
mean?
warm.
A cruise or something where we're really planning to or maybe like somewhere where there's a beach, but we can get like an Airbnb so that we can still kind of have maybe like the best of both worlds. I don't know. We'll
Mhm.
figure those details out. But before we get out of here, the last question I want to ask you is: when history looks back on this generation of adoptees who are
Whew.
bravely telling their stories, what do you hope people will say changed because voices like yours and ours were finally heard?
Wow, that's such a good question. I feel like there will be like freedom and loosening within adoptees. I think we are changing the whole narrative right now. We're
Mhm.
saying stuff people refuse to say out loud without fear of the consequences, right? Because there's consequences for saying this stuff. So I don't know. I think we are. Like, I'm so proud of us. I wish the generation before us did it, so we could have benefited from what we're benefiting from. But
Yeah.
man, we doing something for
Yeah.
real. Like, we're changing it, and I think we're helping people. Like, my connection with adopted people has literally saved my life.
Mm.
Not even, no, I'm not just saying, like, literally taking me off the edge.
Yeah.
So if we can do that earlier for people, you know, we've done our job. If we can educate adoptive parents to deal with the questions and the trauma of it, and
Yeah.
then bottom line, if we can get people to keep their children,
Mm.
that would be the most ideal thing, because this is a lifelong thing for a situation that you thought was just the signing of papers, and it's not. Right. So that's my hope, because I mean, I raised my kids and it's a good experience. It's hard,
Yeah.
and I wouldn't want parents to miss out on that
Yep.
because they're struggling, or pressures from family, or whatever, racism, whatever it is, right? Like, we're paving the way, y'all. I'm super proud of us. It's hard
Yeah.
work.
It may not happen in our, in our
Mm-hmm.
immediate families, but hopefully others do watch and say, you know what? I saw your broadcast. I saw your
Mm-hmm.
live. I saw a clip,
Mm-hmm.
and it motivated me to think differently, or
Yeah.
to talk differently, or to actually have these conversations, because
Mm-hmm.
I didn't realize, the pain and the turmoil that my child was going through because of it. Or I didn't see the other side of when I told them, why are you asking these questions, or why do you want to
Yeah.
know this? I didn't know how much it affected them until I saw, adoptees actually on a
Mm-hmm.
on a platform speaking about it.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you so much. I think that it will
Yes.
definitely make the difference. We are making a difference.
Yeah.
I don't really subscribe to having a whole bunch of numbers, because I feel like timing is not ours, and
Right.
it's
Mm-hmm.
it's, it's like the way that God's timing works. It sits outside of the timing that we know,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So in due season, which is a season, I
Yeah.
believe that things will happen the way that they should happen. And we
Mm-hmm.
just have to continue to show up, and we have to be brave enough to share our
Yeah.
stories with the next person to be able to do the same thing. Because again,
Mm-hmm.
I believe that truth, all roads should lead to truth,
That's
whether
right.
the people that you want it from gives it to you, or where you have to fight for your truth. And
Yeah.
I don't think
Mm-hmm.
that there's anything wrong with fighting for your truth, and finding it,
I agree.
and it's
Mm-hmm.
within. I think that when we start really speaking and talking is when we can really pull out our truth, and accept it
Yes.
as well.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
You know.
Wow. Thank you guys so much for having me. And thank you guys for, like y'all are paving the way for me even. So thank you. Thank you for having these hard
Well, you're in the
conversations.
community now, and you're going to
Hey.
be stuck with us. So,
That's
if you
cool.
ever want
That's
to reach
cool.
out, we're here. We're not going
Okay.
anywhere. If you want to
I'll
join,
bring the harmony to the group.
yes, join us on Tuesdays. And, you're, like I said, you're
Hmm.
stuck with us now. And stay tuned for our adoptee meetup, because I definitely want to do an adoptee meetup. It's
Nice.
got to be 80 of us. I don't care if it's like 5 or 6 of us. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? That's fine with me. Uh,
Hmm.
but we definitely need to create our own community. And I
Yeah.
think that building relationships with other adoptees is not a bad thing.
Right.
We
Hmm.
have people that we've been in relationship with all of our lives. How do we meet? Probably
Hmm.
friends, and probably, and I think
Yeah.
I don't think that I've ever really had a close adoptee friend.
Mm.
You
Or,
do now.
well,
I
yeah,
mean,
no, that
we are right here.
I don't think, like, even growing up, like, I've
Mm.
met
Yeah.
someone where it's just like, oh, we can talk about these same experiences,
Hmm.
or understand how each other thinks.
Yeah.
So
It's a game changer for
definitely
sure.
saw that. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
So thank you so much again, Harmony. You
Thank
guys go ahead and
you.
follow Harmony, like this video, share, subscribe, and we're going to continue to grow. We'll be back on Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. You guys enjoy your Sunday evening, and thanks for joining us.
All right. Have a good one.
Have a good
Bye,
one.
y'all.
Bye.